Next, me.
Welcome back to another video. This is also a podcast, so if you're watching online on YouTube, you can get the podcast version. Aaron, what's the name of the podcast?
It's a movie podcast?
If you didn't catch that, because his voice cracked, he said it's a movie podcast, ? So it's, obviously the links will be in the description.
Yes.
And if you're listening only on podcast, you want to watch, you can also go to Thecrackednation on YouTube and watch it. All right, Aaron, so what are we talking about today? This was your idea, so I'm going to let you start this off.
Yeah, well, we're going to run with the three categories, right? Best picture, best director, and best cinematography.
Yep.
Because those are the only categories that actually matter of anything important.
Yeah, and we were going to do best actor, and we realized there just haven't been very many performances in the last 10 years. Now, this is counted 2010. So 2010 film season up to this last year, 2019.
Because it starts at 0 and goes to 9, and then 20 is the new decade.
Exactly. So we were going to do actor. Going through the list of all the acting performances, we're like, well, there's Daniel Day-Lewis for Lincoln and about nothing else. So we're just going to skip that, and that was just going to make
everything else came out since October of this year. So
yeah, pretty much. So I want to just preface this by saying that there were a ton of movies that I'm sure would be on my top 10 if I watched them. Yeah. But I haven't. Yes. There are just so many indie films that either don't hit theaters, I don't have time to watch them, all this stuff. So most of my movies, actually probably all of them, are more or less blockbuster movies. Yeah. Like big movies that come out in theaters.
Because they're the only ones people actually want to watch.
Exactly. So don't sit here and go, you missed this movie or this movie. And it's like, yeah, I'm sure there's 10 or 15 amazing movies that I didn't see. But this is my list, I don't really care. And then, so we want to do our movies first and then go to cinematography and stuff. Or we want to start with those.
I mean, I kind of want to hear a Defense of Social Network. Because I don't think that should be on anybody's list.
I'm not going to defend that because that's not my list.
Oh, no, I know. I saw it on other lists, too.
Most of the lists have it.
And it's, yeah. It was an important film, I guess. Did some good things for VFX.
So I'm going to have 4 honorable mentions that I just couldn't put in my top 10.
Okay.
Now, if one of them is in your top 10, we just won't talk about these much. I'm just going to list them. Okay. Because I just couldn't make a list without mentioning them. The Lobster. We talked about this, that The Lobster is a movie that I don't really care to watch again, but I can't stop thinking about it. And I saw it many years ago, and the fact that I'm still thinking about it means it did something that most movies don't do. So that one's my 14. Arrival is my number 13.
Makes Seth mad right there.
Yeah, I know. And then we rewatched Dunkirk last night, and it bumped it up a little bit, but not enough to get it in my top 10. It's my number 12. And then number 11 is Whiplash.
Okay.
Yeah, I kept Whiplash out of my top 10.
Okay.
So I'm guessing it's in your top 10. Uh-huh. But we'll get there when we get there. All right. You want to start it off with your number 10?
Yeah, my number 10 that I sorted all of 10 minutes ago.
Uh-huh. Yeah, I put about 12 minutes of work into this list.
Yeah,
so.
yeah. Yeah, no, in no means do I think I would defend the exact ranking of this.
Sure.
But I would defend, I think, the top few.
All right.
So at number 10, I actually put Life of Pi.
Oh, okay.
Because that is one of the few pure dramas. I mean, I don't even know if it's considered a drama, really. It's kind of an adventure.
It really, yeah, that's a good way to put it. It is kind of an adventure movie.
But that was a movie that, that captured me when I watched it and was like, oh, wow, look at this.
Yeah.
I think that's the only Ang Lee movie that I actually like.
Yeah, there's not many.
Yeah.
I don't even know of another one that I like.
Yeah. But, I mean, I loved Life of Pi, and I know you rolled your eyes at it the other day, but...
Well, it's one of those that the more I watch it, the worse it gets, unfortunately. Because when I first saw it, I was blown away. Yeah. The 3D was amazing. Some of the best 3D I've ever seen. Yeah. The visuals are just stunning. But when I rewatched it, I was like, oh, the story just doesn't hold at all. But I did have that same feeling you did when you're in the theater. And therefore, I was like, oh, yeah, this is a great film. But it doesn't quite hold up the test of time. Yeah, so that's why I keep it off my list.
It's definitely, I haven't watched it in a few years, but it is a movie that I bought as soon as I saw it on sale.
Yep, I did as well. I own it. And I'm sure in a couple years I'll put it in again, and I'll be like, huh. Maybe I'll enjoy it again. So. But some of these movies you just got to watch with a different eye. And that one's it's a really good feel-good movie. Yeah. But not feel good as in like, oh man, I'm so glad I watched this. But feel good as in like, man, this kind of like Slumdog Millionaire had the same very kind of feel to it, where you watch it, it's kind of a feel good movie, but yet it's still not. But
Maybe-
yet I don't know if it holds
We
up.
might just be picking out Indian films.
See,
but-
well, they're American versions of
yeah, American
Indian.
Bollywood.
Yeah, exactly. All right, so my number 10 is your favorite movie of all time, Drive, with Ryan Gosling.
I don't actually think I've seen Drive.
Oh, really? Oh, I thought you
Yeah,
watched
no,
it and didn't like it.
Seth is
Seth's
very
fan,
particular.
very
about-
against
Seth
it, right?
did not like Drive.
Yeah, so anybody that's listening or watching that doesn't know, this is my brother, Aaron. Probably should have mentioned that. And we have another brother named Seth, who's probably more into the more artsy than both of us. He's kind of in between us, maybe. Because you don't watch any artsy stuff.
No. And you will be like, oh, this movie was just good. And
Right.
Seth kind of sits right in between of, it has to have piqued his interest. It's a little self-motivated in the, I don't mean that in a bad way. But if it didn't entertain him, he's not going to like it.
Right. So like an
But
example would
he
be...
has an appreciation for the art side
Right,
of it.
right. That's true. Like, he loved Honey Boy. He
Yeah.
saw it this year, loved it. I haven't seen it yet, but I don't think I would like it as much as he did. But he loved it. So,
I do have his
oh, really?
top movies of the
Oh, yeah,
year.
he did send us that, didn't he?
Yeah. So on his
Well,
list...
I'm not done with talking about
Okay,
Drive yet.
fine. Talk about Drive. Top go.
Anyway.
Yes, sir.
The thing about Drive that I think is interesting is that when I was at film school when this came out, there were so many people that this was their all-time favorite movie when it came out.
Okay.
And it was kind of like every couple of years that one movie comes out. The Dark Knight did it.
Yeah.
When that came out, it's still my second favorite movie of all time. Like, there are these movies that when they come out, boom, this group of people hold on to them. That's what Drive did. And it kind of brought the normal viewer into the art world of cinema. Where it's really slowly paced, but it's beautiful looking. The acting performances are super subdued. There's not a lot of talking, a lot of eye contact, and that's how you tell a story, that kind of stuff. And some about the movie. It was super special. Unfortunately, that director didn't do it again with his next movie. But I think Drive is worthy of mentioning here because of what it did for a big group of people.
Okay. Yeah. I have a different movie that's farther down the road that I think did that.
Okay. We'll get to it when we get to it.
We'll get to that when we get to
All
that.
right, what did he have at number 10?
He didn't rank him. No.
Okay.
Of course he didn't.
Oh, look. My Amazon package.
Go get your
Let me go get my Amazon package.
It's not... It's just his 8 movies.
Sure.
Seth will do these, like, 8 of the year that he liked, and then he did 8 of the decade. So on his, he has Inception, Arrival, A Monster Calls. I never even heard of that movie, but... Beast of No Nation, which I didn't like that movie when I watched it. I don't remember if you ever did or not.
I did.
That was one of those first Netflix big budget movies, kind of.
Right. Yeah, it's not my kind of movie at all.
Yeah. Okay. Lion, Me, Earl, and the Dying Girl, Prisoners, and Wonder.
Okay.
So, I mean,
so that gives you an example of what
yeah, that
kind of movies he likes, compared to what we like. Yeah. All right. So what do you got at number 9?
Number 9. Let me switch back to the proper list, not the Oscars. Number 9, I put Interstellar. And I was kind of like, well, you know, I wonder what's going to stand longer, Dunkirk or Interstellar. Because, again, we rewatched it and it was like, oh, yeah, that's a lot better. But I still don't think it quite captures... I think the film side of the community will appreciate Dunkirk more as time goes on. Whereas I feel like the casual audience is still going to look at Interstellar as this really fun, good space movie. And so I sided with that side of the camp.
All right. I went with Roma at my number 9.
I didn't watch
You didn't watch this, you would hate it. It's the closest to a foreign film that any of us have on our list.
You don't know my list?
I do know your list. I know more about your list than not. I don't know. I was one of the few people last year that thought Roma was hands down the best movie. Should have won Best Picture, no question. Most people thought it was good, but whatever. But Roma's going to last forever. Okay. It's one of those movies, you'll watch it in 30 years and be like, I feel like they either made this 100 years ago or yesterday. You can never tell and you never will tell.
Okay.
There's nothing in the movie that gives it away. There's no camera movements more than just like tripod work and dollies, which has been around since the beginning of film. So that doesn't give it away. The acting is incredible. It's black and white. All those things make it timeless. And so I think Roma was excellent. Not the most fun movie to watch, but there's some moments in it, some scenes that are so powerful that only a master storyteller could have pulled off. And it's worth it for those scenes, but I also love it as a movie as a whole. The opening scene, the camera's facing down at the tile and water's like brushing up.
I've
like
heard
this.
about the opening
It's like
scene.
5 minutes long of nothing, and people hated it. I'm just sitting here loving it because just the opening credits rolling. It's so good. I love that kind of stuff, though, when it's very intentional. All right, so that's my number 9.
Number 8. This will show where I'm
Oh, boy.
going more on the action or the casual side. I'm going to put John Wick.
Yep.
Which I definitely think of the 3 John Wick. They're all really good.
The first one.
I think the first one.
Yeah, because it without
Although I
the
think
first one, I don't think the second one holds up. Like,
Yeah, but the second one's the one I remembered more.
That's true, because it's a bigger movie. The first one's a small movie.
Yeah.
They don't do much.
Yeah.
You just
I just remember all the stuff in
Couple
Rome, and
little
partially
things,
that's
boom.
just because I could recognize this. I've never been to New York, but I've been to Rome.
right.
So it's like, it was
Oh yeah, the second one does have all the Rome stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is
all the
pretty
catacomb, like that catacomb fight scene.
cool. Yeah.
But
The first one
John Wick in perpetuity.
The first one though was the most realistic. I'm gonna use air quotes there because it like they didn't do anything super extreme with special effects or anything to the
Yep.
point where you're like, oh my gosh. Like the third one when like the blade goes through the guy's eye, and you're just
Yeah.
like, I now have to think past reality to
Yeah.
understand this movie. Whereas the first one, the stunts were real, the actions were real, all the gun work was real.
Yeah.
Even though the second one has amazing gun work too.
Yeah, the first one though, like last time we watched it, I was paying attention because it was actually a rewatch at that point. The first one, they're very deliberate about showing every reload and all that stuff. The second one has a lot less of that, which I'm
Right.
fine with because they've already established that it happens
Right.
in this universe. Whereas most action movies, you get somebody fires off 20 shots in a pistol without cutting away. It's like, no,
Yeah.
that doesn't happen. But this universe, they already established that.
It's also probably the best action movie. It might be the one of our time that we now that we're old enough to like understand action movies. We missed all the 90s action movies.
Yeah.
I can go back and love them, but they didn't come out during our time.
Yeah.
This might be the best action movie of our time. I haven't really thought about it. Actually, there's one more, but it's a very different kind of action movie.
Yep.
I'm sure we both have.
We probably both have that.
Every list on the internet has. But,
Wait.
oh, did you forget it? Huh.
I
Apparently you didn't.
I
You
put
thought-
2 different things on number 9, and I don't know why, because that movie's
interesting.
definitely higher than 9.
Well, anyway, so I think John Wick's a good pick. It was like my number 15, I think, and I just left it off my honorable mentions. I also figured you'd have it, so. All right, my number 8 is Spotlight.
Okay,
I don't know if you saw Spotlight.
I did.
I love that movie. It's very plain. There's no action in it. It's all about the acting and the writing. That's it. The whole movie. They're just trying to figure out what's happened with the Catholic Church, and it's so much, I don't know, just good journalisming.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. I just really enjoyed it and thought that was a solid movie. It's one of the few Best Picture winners that I think deserved it.
Okay.
Because most Best Picture winners are like, yep, that wasn't the best movie. That was the safe pick.
It's all what
This one-
studios could lobby for
Yeah.
what, whereas this,
I do think Spotlight was
don't
the
think-
safe pick, but I still think it was the best movie.
I don't think any, what studio made Spotlight?
I don't remember.
Yeah, and I think that's actually a good point for it, is it wasn't this whole Disney's Spotlight.
Right.
Or like, it was like, no, this is a story that we want to tell. And like, I can recall actors in it, but I don't even recall it as actors being associated with this movie. I remember the story that the movie told,
Right.
which is definitely what a movie should do.
Yeah. And every time I think about the acting, I'm like, oh yeah, Mark Ruffalo was really good.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Amy Adams or Rachel McAdams was really good.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Michael Keaton was in it. Like,
Yeah.
they're so good in it, you forget they're actors.
Exactly.
They're just characters in the movie.
Exactly. And that's what it should be. It should be an actor can draw you into the movie, but you forget it's the actor.
Yeah.
And so-
DiCaprio can't do that. He's one of those few actors.
Maybe not, but you haven't seen Uncut Gems yet.
No, I
You-
said DiCaprio.
I know.
Oh, yeah.
But,
That's true.
But like, I would think that about Adam Sandler until I watched Uncut Gems. Then it was like, this isn't Adam Sandler. Like, in the
Right,
theater,
right.
I was like, I'm thinking about this. This is Adam Sandler. And I look at the screen, I'm like, that's not Adam Sandler.
right?
And so, Yeah.
Yeah, but the reason I would say you can't do it with DiCaprio is he's already had 6 or 7 Oscar-worthy, again, air quotes, because I don't think he deserved any Oscars.
Okay.
Except for maybe The Revenant, but that's only because there was nothing better that year. But everything else he's done, which was super good, there's always somebody better.
Yeah.
Always. And so, but all his performances, he's had some amazing performances, and I still see DiCaprio in all of them.
Yeah.
That's why I'd say that.
Which I think also, like, that's not to say he's not a good actor. I'm not going to try to say that. I don't think that. But I think his younger stuff actually stands out more. Mm-hmm. Like, Catch Me If You Can, Titanic. Like, that stuff that he did at that time, it was like, that was rare to see of somebody that young to be that good.
Yeah, agreed.
And I feel like he got better, but not...
exponentially better.
Yeah. It was like, at that age, he was miles ahead of anybody that age.
Right.
Now, it's like, maybe he's better than the average. He's good.
Yeah, he's definitely in your A-listers, but he's not...
Yeah.
He's no longer your top 5, top 10 A-lister.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. I'll go ahead and do my number 7.
Oh, well...
because that was my number 8.
Oh, that was your number 8. Gotcha.
Yep. So my number 7 is Interstellar.
Okay.
So I did put it ahead of Dunkirk.
Okay.
For a few reasons. I think you were totally accurate. I think Dunkirk, to film people, will last way longer.
Yeah.
The story is way tighter. I mean, it's almost a flawless story. It's super well edited, super well thought out. Only a master could have done that. But when I watched Interstellar, there was this feeling that very few movies in our time have ever done.
Mm-hmm.
I imagine it's what people thought when they saw the original Star Wars or the original, like 2001 maybe, or Alien when it first came out. Some of those groundbreaking space movies that you're like, how in the world am I feeling this way?
Okay.
That's what I felt when I watched Interstellar.
Yeah.
The acting was mostly superb.
Yeah.
Although I don't like Anne Hathaway. His cinematography was insane.
Yep.
His visuals I just love. They're so practical, and yet there's so many special effects in them, but you just don't know because it's so practically thought out.
Yeah. He's a person who's thought ahead what shot he's going to do.
Absolutely.
And so he knows what he should do with practical and what he should do with CGI.
Yep. He's never on set going, actually, let's just CGI this.
Exactly.
That's a horror. Yeah. I guarantee you Christopher Nolan could shoot a movie without a storyboard.
Probably.
He does a storyboard, I'm sure, because people need to know.
Yeah.
But he knows every shot in his head. He knows exactly what he needs. I bet he rarely overshoots anything because he knows exactly what he needs. He doesn't waste time. He doesn't. And Interstellar, that docking scene.
I was just about to bring up one of the best scenes ever in cinema.
I don't know why.
Except for what other it's on here.
It's so good, that docking scene.
Yeah.
And I don't know what it is about it because you think about it, you're like, huh. But I think a lot is the score. The score is just pounding the whole time.
The whole movie has built up all these aspects. You've got all the emotional impact of the characters and what they're going through, what this means if they fail. All of that's on the line. And then the cinematography is working with you, the VFX is working with you, and the score is working with you. So everything about the movie is all focused on this one point that's executed flawlessly.
Yeah, I would actually say the biggest negative to that movie is that that's the high point by far, and you still have about 45 minutes.
Yeah.
And it should have only had 20 minutes.
That's definitely one of the downsides I have about that movie is it drags on just a hair too long.
They cut 15 minutes off that movie. I would love it to death, but it is just a little too long. And that scene happens the perfect point up to that point, but then there's too much after it.
Yeah, well, and it's, we say it's the perfect movie. Like, I think movies that have that little bit too long, it's like, I can rewatch it and love it the whole way through. But I think it extends how long you can go before rewatching it again.
Right.
Because you kind of need to, like, empty your memory of it and then re-experience the whole thing.
Right.
Whereas a movie that's really just the necessities, you can just rewatch, like, every year and not feel bogged down by the low points.
Yep.
If it's just a finely tuned, it's your cat.
Oh, boy, he was in the window. Okay. Yes. Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah.
All right, what'd you have?
So, number 7, this was
the other action movie?
Yes, this is the other action movie, Edge of Tomorrow.
Oh, that was not what I thought you were going to say.
Yeah, probably not. But
interesting. I had that really high on my list, actually.
Yeah, like, I think that's the greatest sci-fi movie of the decade, possibly. Like, it's an action movie, it's a sci-fi, like, it's kind of all this stuff.
It came out of nowhere.
It came out of nowhere. It didn't do that exceptionally well in box, like, not well enough to warrant a sequel.
Right.
Like, but it's good. Everything about it is good. Excellent VFX, excellent acting,
And
excellent
they
story.
did time travel in a way that doesn't create holes.
Exactly.
Too often, a time travel movie, Looper, name them, any of them.
Yeah.
There's always holes. Endgame has a billion holes. But Edge of Tomorrow...
I stand with the director, not the writers.
Yes. It doesn't create a problem because it contains itself.
Yeah.
And it finds a way to do that. And because there's other influences,
Yeah.
otherworldly influences on it, they can get away with a little more, and they use that to their advantage. And
Yeah,
it also
it's a
introduced
very-
the greatest action actress of our time, Emily
Emily
Blunt,
Blunt, yeah.
which everybody is like, why isn't she getting more action
Yeah.
movies?
Yeah.
Because she had 2 or 3 in a row, and then she hasn't had anything for quite a while.
Yeah.
And then she had A Quiet Place, but that wasn't an action movie. So
Yeah.
I'm like, I want her and Rebecca Ferguson
Oh,
to be in the same movie.
that would be a good.
The two of them would just be like, one could be the good guy, one could be the bad, whatever.
Yeah.
I would go see those two fight because
yeah.
they're both awesome. I
Yeah.
had higher than Edge of Tomorrow. I had Mission Impossible: Rogue Nation.
Okay.
Because of her.
Yeah.
She makes that movie. She's maybe
Yeah.
her and Emily Blunt in those two movies. It's hard for me to pick a favorite.
Yeah. Rogue Nation also has that scene, the opera scene, that I cannot figure out how they would have planned shooting that. Because there's so many pieces that all come together, but they're all based on the timing of the performance of the opera.
It's the editor, man.
Yeah. But how do you, like...
Hours of storyboarding.
Yeah, exactly. I'm thinking every single shot had to have been decided beforehand, and there's probably not anything left on the cutting room floor.
Yeah. Oh, no.
Or they planned out so much more on each one than
Right,
needed.
that they could edit either way to fit.
Yeah, and then
possible.
synced them all up and then edited.
I think based on the fact that he also did the other Tom Cruise movie, didn't he? The car movie.
Who
I never saw it.
directed that?
The same director, I think, that did Rogue Nation. I might be wrong about that, but based on how good that movie was through and through, I think it was probably more well planned out and less fixed in the editing, and probably just shot excellently.
Yeah.
To pull it off. So Edge of Tomorrow, I like that pick. All right, my number 6, which I think is going to be higher on your list maybe, is Hell or High Water. Hell or High Water is a huge personal favorite of mine. It seems simple, not a huge budget. It was probably 15 to 20 million, but that's not a very big budget for Hollywood.
Oh, yeah.
And the majority of that went to actors, I'm sure.
Jeff Bridges.
I cannot believe that movie didn't get any Oscar buzz. It was up for Best Picture, but nobody talked about it. Nobody acted like it was the best movie. It was the best movie that year. That one came out the same year as Arrival, I think, right?
I believe so.
Yeah, the two of them, neither of them won. I don't even remember what won. It was like, was that the Moonlight year?
Yes.
Ugh. Yeah, Moonlight.
Moonlight, La La Land, Manchester by the Sea, Lion, Hidden Figures, Hacksaw Ridge, Arrival. So there was
Solridge.
well, yeah. But there was a lot of buzz and studios pushing for other movies that it's a miracle it got nominated, but it should have won. It was the best movie.
Oh, yeah.
Of
That
that
one,
year.
I mean, I would be okay with Arrival. One of those two, I thought were by far the best. Moonlight is one of those movies that people only like it because it's politically correct to like that movie. Nobody saw Moonlight. And anyone who did, it's like, oh, it was so good. Ask them again in 10 years and they'll be like, I remember seeing that movie. They won't sit down and watch it again.
Yeah.
Nobody cares. It's the same as Green Book. Nobody watches Green Book.
Yeah.
So,
Which I was going through the things. I was like, "What was Green Book again?" I remember it was a
exactly.
politically motivated thing. Like
Uh-huh.
I had that same thought, but I couldn't remember what the movie even was.
So I think Hell or High Water was a very much underrated movie, underappreciated. I can't think of anything negative about that movie. It's paced perfectly for what it is.
Yeah.
It's got amazing acting by, I mean, Chris Pine's an A-lister and Jeff Bridges is, but they're not the big money pull A-listers.
Yeah. No.
And it was good to see
Nobody's
Ben
going to watch a movie with
Ben Foster.
because of either.
Ben
movie.
Foster is one of those supporting actors that he elevates an entire movie. If he wasn't in 3:10 to Yuma, we don't like that movie as much. But he is, every time he's that supporting character, and he's always kind of the good guy / bad guy.
Yeah.
Oh, he sells the movie for me. So I love Hell or High Water. My favorite moment in that movie is when there's the group of civilians chasing them, and he stops and pulls out his machine gun and starts shooting, and all the civilians turn tail and run. And they don't get in a shootout because in real life you wouldn't get in a shootout.
Yeah.
You'd be so scared, but you think you're so tough. I just love that it was so realistic in that way.
Yeah. That was a movie that you didn't feel like there was no suspension of disbelief anywhere in the movie.
They break into a bank in Texas. Of course, there's guns everywhere. Like, it makes sense. And there was no ridiculous shootout stuff. You're like, okay, come on, somebody get shot.
It didn't feel like anything in that movie was hyped up. It felt like very much like this is a realistic thing that could happen.
Yep.
And this is the way it could go. And so let's build a story around that.
Yep. So that's my number 6.
My number 6, I have at Mad Max.
Yep.
Fury Road.
That was the other action movie I thought. I didn't realize that you have 3 action movies.
Yeah, I had that in there, and it.
Now, Mad Max is one that a lot of people have in their top 3.
I think I would put, if we were doing all the Oscar categories, which we'll get to here before we get to our final ones, but I think I would put that at best VFX of the decade.
Interesting.
Like, I don't know if there's a movie that blended better. Like, Interstellar, great VFX, but I feel like it's too, well, obviously it's VFX.
Right.
Whereas I feel like
it's in space.
Yeah. Right. Whereas I feel like when you watch Mad Max, you're like, I don't know what's VFX.
Right.
And
you almost think the whole thing's green screen. Like the
Exactly,
entire movie.
exactly.
But then when it turns out that about 70% of that is practical.
But if with a trained eye, you can focus on things and be like, oh yeah, there was a green, like.
Right.
It's been a while since I watched it. I probably should rewatch it. But I don't feel like that has any of those where you can be like, and there it is. And then it throws it all off and changes that lens.
It also, as has been mentioned before, they put together a 2.5-hour war, like, chase scene into a movie. One chase. Boom.
In a lot better fashion than The Last Jedi.
Last Jedi couldn't do it for 3 minutes, and me believe it. I'm just like, oh my gosh, come on, put something together. So, excellent action movie. I don't know how well it'll hold up. It's one of those that the VFX right now might look great, but it's weird how in 20 years we might look back and go, oh my goodness, that looks terrible.
Except for, I think, and this is maybe why it shouldn't be, but it didn't do anything impossible with VFX. Whereas you look at back in the 90s, Jurassic Park, like, oh my gosh, they made dinosaurs. Like, unbelievable. And then you look at it now, and Jurassic Park still holds up. But it's like, those are CGI dinosaurs. They're good CGI dinosaurs.
But 100% your mind tells you that has to be fake, so now I can see it's fake.
Yeah. Whereas everything that Mad Max did was stuff that can easily be done, that I don't think it's going to get any better in time. I think it's good enough to fool us for a long time. You know, you got lots of storm and dust debris and like those type of things that are just grander than what they actually are. So it's very easy for them to just make it bigger. And then all the storm stuff, but I don't think I don't think it's gonna fall apart in 10, 20 years. I think it's gonna still hold up.
I hope not. I really liked the movie.
Yeah.
I thought Charlize Theron was awesome.
And it's not a movie that requires any prior. I've never seen the other Mad Max.
Neither have I.
I should probably go back and rewatch them, but I haven't. And you don't need to have. Like, it's not clear that it's a sequel. It's just, it's Mad
kind
Max.
of its own thing.
Yeah. And so I think that's a very big point in its favor is it doesn't rely on anything outside of itself, even though it's set in another universe.
Sure. Now, do we want to go through our top 5 or wait on those? Jump over to our
we could jump over to
effects.
Well, I didn't plan
cinematography.
Cinematography, yeah.
Oh, I didn't finish my list.
Yeah, I mean.
Oh dear,
I have a
down.
couple of opinions on what I think I would consider should be on there. Basically, anything that Christopher Nolan has done.
right. Now we're definitely not doing a top 10 best cinematography.
No.
We're just gonna pick 2 or 3 that we think are like the best, and then I'm gonna have my.
Yeah.
Well, I don't even know if I can pick one.
More or less, I like going through it. I think Gravity obviously needs mentioned, even though it's kind of like it's a digital.
I have a problem with that
cinematography
one for that reason.
Okay.
It's well, no, because Emmanuel Lubezki, he and Roger Deakins are without a doubt the 2 greatest cinematographers working today.
Okay.
I don't think Anyone would argue.
Emmanuel Lubezki.
Lubezki did.
There's one other movie
He did Gravity, Birdman, and The
Birdman.
Revenant.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Those are his 3 big ones. He's done others. Oh, he also did Children of Men.
Okay.
So he's long takes.
Yeah.
Knows how to do it. Because he understands how long takes work, he's a genius at lighting things. And so they had to light in Gravity her on that swinging arm and stuff like that, where the camera's doing these huge swoops.
So it's planned.
Oh, it's very planned.
Like
Absolutely. But being able to light that type of a scene is hard.
Yeah.
But because of that, I think it's more of a digital cinematography award. And I think that the Academy needs to start splitting those, because I would give it to special effects before I give it to cinematography.
Okay. But then that comes to so let's say the Lion King remake.
Right.
All CGI.
Yeah.
Is that any cinematography in there? They're still manipulating a digital camera.
Yeah, and you still have a cinematographer adding lights to scenes and everything.
Yeah.
But I don't know. That's where people in the industry that are higher up than I am would know better about.
Yeah.
How was there even a cinematographer there, or was it just the director? I don't know.
Yeah.
So one that I think definitely deserves an honorable mention is Grand Budapest Hotel.
Okay.
That movie is just janky as I'll get at in terms of like quirky, and every shot is just perfect.
I think that's the only Wes Anderson movie I like.
Very possibly. The cinematography is super symmetrical. Yeah. Everything is symmetrical. Tons of pans and ups and downs.
Yeah, that's the thing that is like Wes Anderson has a good. I like artists or directors who have a style that goes with them. I feel like Guy Ritchie does too, which I kind of forgot about Man from U.N.C.L.E., which I think is the greatest spy movie to come out in the last decade.
Interesting. Even more than Rogue Nation.
Oh, yeah.
Interesting.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
I love Mission Impossible, but Mission Impossible relies on being Mission Impossible.
Right.
Which, it's a different brand of spy. Whereas I feel like Man from U.N.C.L.E. is that one that, I would watch that every year over and over and over and over. Because it's just so unique and so tight. Like Rogue Nation, it's it stands on its own, but more or less you need to watch Ghost Protocol before it, which I love Ghost Protocol too.
Right.
But I'm not gonna.
Interesting.
I would put Man from U.N.C.L.E. ahead of Ghost Protocol or Rogue Nation. I lost my.
Yeah, where it's just
moving
good
on.
with the style, directors with the style. Like that.
Yeah.
Another one that I left off my list was Inception for best cinematography.
Okay.
I don't think the cinematography is that good in it. I think the set building is what makes that movie.
Yeah, I don't know that I would put cinematography as the crown achievement.
Yeah, but
whereas Interstellar, I think cinematography is much better.
So I have Interstellar. So my top 3 for the decade: Interstellar, Blade Runner 2049, and The Revenant.
Okay.
Now The Revenant, at first I was like, about the cinematography. I was like, lots of long one takes and all that, but I've seen that now. But then I realized how hard it is to do what he does. There are some scenes in that movie where the camera's got to be a foot from his face. Yeah. I mean, a foot. And then we go from there to these big wide shots happening.
All with natural light. And it's just nuts what he's able to do and how beautiful the movie is. Yeah.
So I actually might say that that's the best movie of the year, cinematography. Or of the decade.
I think I would. I kind of forgot about it because that movie I've kind of forgotten about, and the only thing I remember is how well it was shot.
Yeah, I don't think the movie's that good.
Yeah,
but I think the cinematography is just nuts.
Yeah,
and I think it's way better than Birdman. Birdman's really good when you start thinking about that, but they don't hide their. Cuts. It's supposed to be shot like a one take, like 1917. That one's hands down gonna win the Oscar for best cinematography.
Yeah,
I haven't seen it yet.
It's going to.
It's going to. And I'm hoping they hid their cuts better than Birdman. I don't think Birdman hit them well enough, and therefore I don't think the cinematography quite works. Because not once did I think, man, there hasn't been a cut this whole movie.
Yeah.
It was so obvious where the cuts were.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, they go into a completely dark room, and they come out in a weird amount of timing.
Yeah.
It doesn't work. Things like that. So I think that's why The Revenant's much better. Because they don't hide the cuts. Yeah. They're just these really long one takes. Now they might have hidden cuts I can't see, which is great. And then Blade Runner I thought was just beautiful.
Yeah.
Whatever you think about the movie, not sure, but
I don't think I'd have any disagreement on any of those because.
Do you have anything else to add? Like
Nope.
any others? Okay.
Not really. I mean, it's all just I just have the nominations for the decade here,
Yeah.
and there's no others that I'm really that.
Life of Pi would be another one like Gravity that I'm not sure how much of that was digital.
Yeah,
Because a lot of that was digital effects.
but I think it was less so like it had less digital elements than Gravity. Gravity was her face,
Right.
and that's it.
Oh, they strapped her onto a thing.
Yeah. They strapped her onto a thing, but it's like everything else. Like even her suit was CGI. Even though they recorded it, they replaced it. Like
That's true.
and whereas like I feel like there was a bit more in Life of Pi, where it was like a lot of it was it was a boat on green screen, but it was I don't know, and I also don't feel like it's like they're adding some water, like although I mean they're adding space, so who knows.
Yeah, but that was just what I thought.
Yeah.
Of. All right, so then we talked about doing best director of the decade. Now this would be not the director with the best movie, but the best director with the most best movies.
I mean,
And we
either way, I think it falls on him. So
that's what. Well, we said Denis Villeneuve, who did Arrival, Prisoners, Sicario, and Blade Runner 2049. Those are 4 amazing movies, and actually, he did this other one, Incendiaries, which I haven't seen, but my friend Andrew said it might be his best of the decade. That's 5 really good movies, 4 that I've seen. But Nolan has done Interstellar, Inception, Dunkirk.
yeah,
I have Dunkirk higher than Arrival.
yeah,
I don't know. I think at first I was like, oh, Denis Villeneuve for sure. But
if we're doing the entirety, like
But Nolan also came out with Dark Knight Rises in the middle of that, which was just a crap show.
yeah, that is very true. But Denis, however you pronounce it,
Denis Villeneuve is
Yes.
the best I've heard.
he's been on a roll since Prisoners. So Prisoners, then he did a movie immediately after called Enemy, but I think that was a shorter thing. Sicario, Arrival, Blade Runner,
Yeah, and he's doing Dune.
and now he's working on Dune.
Yeah.
Like I feel like if we're doing all encompassing, it has to be him.
Yeah.
Like even though it's Christopher Nolan has his name to go on, whereas Villeneuve.
Villeneuve. There you go.
His
Today we need to
breakout,
know.
yeah, his breakout was Prisoners.
Right.
So he came onto the scene this decade, and has been a nonstop hit machine since.
Yeah.
And not just a blockbuster hit, but a critical hit.
Yeah, and he's also done movies and he's doing Dune.
Yeah.
So he's not like he's kind of doing the Nolan thing, where Nolan did his own thing, then he grabbed Dark Knight.
Yeah.
Or the Batman trilogy, and you're like, oh, he took a major property,
Yeah.
made a good movie, moved on. Villeneuve's doing the same thing, where he did his own thing, took Blade Runner, which is a huge property already, to film nerds,
Yeah.
did an amazing job copying Blade Runner. If you don't like Blade Runner, you're not going to like the new one.
Villeneuve will be the Nolan of next decade.
Yeah.
In that he's going to, because Nolan established himself last decade. Mm-hmm. His capstone was Inception this decade, but he did, what? I can't even remember him now. The Prestige.
Oh, Memento.
And Memento. He started following, then
Memento, Insomnia.
Prestige.
And Batman.
Well, Batman Begins was before Prestige, but
And then
it was
Dark
like he
Knight,
kind of built
which
up,
is
and then it was like he did his series, his studio movies, and then after that, he then jumped into his personal projects that he wanted to do, which was Inception was the big one that he'd been like. That's why he made the Batman movies was to make Inception, and so, but Villeneuve, we have these movies before he got the studio movie.
Right.
And so now after Dune, if Dune is a success,
he'll get to do whatever he wants.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. At this point, he can do whatever he wants.
Yeah.
But he's definitely guaranteed to if it's a success, and I think it will be.
Yeah.
Everybody's kind of priming to these fantasy movies right now. Well, mainly TV shows.
Yeah.
But this will be the first big fantasy movie since Harry Potter.
Yeah.
And Harry Potter only works because it's a young adult movie.
Yeah, and it was coming out while the books were still coming out.
Right, which is huge.
Yeah,
Dune was written back when Lord of the Rings was written almost, a little later.
Yeah.
And
it's already had a movie.
And it's already had a movie, and it wasn't good. Yeah. And so this will be kind of, if he can pull this off, and I've read the book, and it'll be tough to make a good movie out of this.
Okay.
Because there's so much I mean, as most fantasy books are, when you really think about making a movie out of them, you're like, oh, this will be really hard.
Yeah.
Because there's so much internal dialogue and all that stuff. So, all right. So we both agreed. Denis Villeneuve, best director of the decade.
Yep.
I think Nolan is a very close second.
Yeah.
Followed third by
Nobody.
Cuarón, maybe.
Farther down the road.
Yeah. All right. So back to our top 10. We have 5 movies left each. Oh, my mic fell down. Hopefully the audio hasn't been bad.
Oh.
It'll be fine.
Yeah. Number 5, I did A Quiet Place.
Oh, you did put it in there.
I put it in there.
Interesting. Okay.
That is the greatest horror movie I've ever seen, and I know it's not really horror. I don't watch horror because horror sucks.
It's a
It's
horror
a genre
thriller.
that I don't watch, so
Yeah.
it's more thriller.
I would put it in the horror category for sure.
Maybe. I mean,
Horror's become, like, if this had come out in the 90s, total horror. But
Yeah.
since the 90s, we've gotten stuff like Paranormal Activity. Anytime now you mention it's a horror movie, people assume there's some spiritual demon of some sort in it.
Yeah.
Like, that's just kind of what the genre has become.
Okay.
Like, people being, that kind of thing, where you're in your house and there's people talking to you through the walls and all. It kind of went, okay, enough of that. We're going to go back to what made horror movies originally horror.
Yeah.
Because, Alien was a horror movie back in the 70s.
Okay.
That's a thriller.
Yeah.
That is not a horror movie.
I mean, it's barely even a thriller. It's more
Right.
action now.
Yeah, Aliens. Alien is definitely horror. I mean, definitely a thriller, sorry.
Yeah.
Because it's all about suspense. Suspense,
It
suspense.
is. But I still think, I don't think I would sell that to anybody who was looking for a thriller.
Sure.
I would, if somebody was looking for an action movie, I would sell them Alien.
Sons of the Lambs is considered a horror.
I still haven't seen it. I know.
Oh, wow.
I know. That is a shame. But,
Anyway. Okay, so Quiet Place.
but yeah, Quiet Place was by far and away my favorite movie of 2018. Like, I don't think there was a better movie.
Even more than Hell or High Water. And Arrival.
I have
put it
Hell or
in-
High Water higher,
Oh, okay.
but A Quiet Place, like,
Yeah.
I'm just like, that movie was so good. But I think Hell or High Water is a better movie.
Sure.
But, yeah.
All right, fair enough. My number 5, I have Grand Budapest Hotel.
Okay.
Nobody that has any knowledge of movies will say it's not his best movie.
Okay.
Everyone agrees it's his best movie. Now, it's not, might not be your favorite movie of his.
Yeah.
It's definitely my favorite of his. It went from Wes Anderson kind of being this quirky little director to, he just made one of the best movies of the year, if not the best,
Yeah.
that year that it came out. And it probably should have won Best Picture. It wasn't even close to winning. None of the hype was going its direction. But again, which studio was behind it, who could push the most money.
Exactly.
That's who wins the Oscars.
Yeah.
So it wasn't going to win Best Picture, but it is a masterpiece. And if you watch it, it's just everything Wes Anderson perfectly put together.
Okay.
Cinematography, music, sound effects,
Yeah.
acting, set design, because he designs these crazy sets, uses pictures with his sets, and it's obvious that they're pictures.
Yeah.
And I love that because he knows it is. And there's quirky little things in his movies, almost like a guy playing with miniatures that decided to make a movie out of it. I think it's awesome.
Yeah. I mean, it's definitely a good style. What are we on there?
Number 4.
Number 4, that's where I have Hell or High Water.
Okay.
We've talked already about it.
We have. Who do you think was the strongest performance out of the main 3? Jeff Bridges, Chris Pine, or Ben Foster?
I really liked Jeff Bridges in it, and I don't think I've liked him in a lot of scenes that most people did. Like, True Grit I found absolutely boring. Like, I liked the old John Wayne one better.
Same.
And Jeff Bridges I just don't find that but I really liked him in this. And I mean, I'm sure he's done other good things that I would like him in. But from what I've seen, like, this was my favorite performance that he's ever done. But the whole, just all of them together. But
All right. My number 4 is the very controversial Zero Dark 30,
yeah.
which you definitely don't have on your list.
Nope. I need to rewatch it.
I think Zero Dark 30 is an awesome movie. Now, I still like The Hurt Locker more.
Okay.
I think The Hurt Locker is a more special movie because we've never seen that. We've never seen a bomb squad movie. We just haven't. And if you have, it's not good.
The Hurt Locker is you get a few friends over and watch it.
Yeah.
You don't wouldn't do that with Zero Dark 30.
Zero Dark 30, I want to sit down and watch it by myself.
Yeah.
And I want to have all the lights off, and I just want to focus and watch this master story come together. Now, it's a big story. It kind of reminds me of, like, long dramas, like The Godfather and things like that. And I'm not saying it's as good as The Godfather, because it's not. But those movies that just go an extra 30 minutes longer, but without that, the movie doesn't work.
Yeah.
It's not like Interstellar that needed a little cut off the end. It's a movie that's built for this huge story. And it ends with the killing of Osama bin Laden. It doesn't end with, they don't kill Osama bin Laden and there's 25 minutes.
Yeah.
It ends on the
we
climax.
don't need the postscript.
No. And it was so good, that last scene. And it's just, I still have a few issues with the movie. Like when I'm watching it, I'm just like, I don't like that or something. But as a whole, pulling off that big of a movie about a touchy subject like that wasn't a little off, like I would say American Sniper was.
Yeah.
American Sniper, I don't think holds up. No. I think it
No.
only works if you know who Chris Kyle is.
Yeah.
That's it. You can not know who Osama bin Laden is and still think this movie is just awesome. That's why I like it. I also think that Catherine Bigelow is underappreciated by Hollywood. They keep trying to push female directors, and yet they aren't pushing the Oscar-winning director.
Yeah.
And she at that time, now she made a movie called Detroit or something. I didn't see it. Didn't really care to. But at that time, she was one of, if not the best director.
Yeah.
At that little moment.
Yeah.
So I'm just kind of bummed that she didn't get any more work. But she's also a little too political.
Yeah.
And too politically neutral.
Okay.
Quit snapping.
I'm trying to get the dog.
Yeah, the dog's right here. She's a little too neutral and doesn't push an agenda. Like, Zero Dark 30 doesn't have an agenda left or right.
Yeah.
It's like, this is what I know. It might not be accurate. I'm
Yeah.
sure it's not. But there were people upset about the information that she got. Because they were like, who's feeding you this information? This is like top secret information. So, and she was like, I don't care. I'm making the movie.
Huh.
So it was a very political statement. It actually got blacklisted for the Oscars.
Okay.
And that's why Argo won. Is because they were like,
I still like Argo. I love that movie.
ugh, it better not be in your top 10.
No, it is not. It is not my top 10, but I love that movie.
I think it's fine. But Zero Dark 30 in 20 years will be just as good as it is now.
Yeah.
It's not going to be better or worse. It's going to be right where it is now, and it will always be that good.
I'm just a sucker for biopics.
I know you are. But Zero Dark 30 is a biopic, kind of.
Yeah.
But it's not as much of a biopic.
Yeah.
It's hard to make a biopic about something that happened like 10 years ago.
Yeah.
So,
Well, and when
More than 10
everything
now, but-
about it is... biopics are the one drama that I love. Like, if it's a biopic, I will go watch it. Like...
All right.
Yeah.
My number 3, Sicario.
Okay.
Now, we were talking about the greatest scene of all time.
Yeah.
Was this the movie you were thinking of?
No,
Because
I mean...
we were talking Interstellar. There was the
Yeah,
document
I have two favorite scenes of all time.
scene. Okay, is one still coming up on your list?
One is still coming up on
Okay,
my list.
well,
The
wait.
other is Interstellar. It's
Okay,
document.
so Sicario, I didn't know who made that movie when it came out.
Okay.
I don't think. I might have known it was the guy that did Prisoners, but I didn't really care at that point. It's Denis Villeneuve, who we already talked about a bunch. And I was like, oh, Emily Blunt's in it. I'm in. Because she had just done Edge of Tomorrow. And so Sicario comes out, and I'm watching it, and there's a scene in the first act where they have to go across the border. The border crossing bridge scene. They legitimately blocked off the border for this scene.
Yeah.
And it is, without a doubt, my favorite scene of the last 10 years.
Okay.
Of any movie. Nothing in any movie has ever made me feel like that scene did.
Okay.
The docking scene got close, but they're very different. The docking scene is the movie built to this. Sicario, this is an act 1.
Yeah.
And so it just sets you up for, oh my goodness, what's going to happen? Shootout happens. Then you go, okay, take a break. Now moves to act 2. Big things happen in act 2. Big things happen in act 3. I think Sicario is one of those movies that it will only get better as time goes on. The second time I saw it, the first time I didn't like the tunnel scene with the night vision. I hated it. The second time I saw it, I was like, I still don't think it's good, that scene, but it got better. And I think that's going to keep happening. I'm going to keep watching it, and certain things about that movie are going to get better and better.
Gotcha.
But yeah, that movie to me is just nuts.
So we're number 3, right?
Yeah.
So number 3 has my other favorite scene, Whiplash.
Oh, yeah, okay.
So that
I forgot.
the final scene in Whiplash he's goes up on stage and does the whole FU to J.K. Simmons. I forget the actor or the character name, but that whole drumming scene, it's like so intense, and you're just like, what is going to happen? And you are so invested, and so that end scene in Whiplash and the docking scene are my two favorite scenes of all time.
Yeah, that end scene, the reason that works is because the movie's been playing out in a way that he might fail at the end of that movie, and you don't know.
Yeah.
If you haven't seen Whiplash, go watch it. It's insane.
It's not a happy-go-lucky movie.
No, it's tough to watch, especially if you're in the world where you're being criticized for things you're doing.
Yeah.
And being critiqued constantly. It's tough to watch, but it's awesome. That scene is definitely... The real winner of that movie is the editor. Whoever edited that movie.
Yeah.
I think he won the Oscar for editing. But if he didn't, he deserved it, because without perfect editing, that movie doesn't work.
Yeah.
Because the story alone isn't that great, but each scene is built perfectly to pay it off. But, I mean, you're just like holding your breath for 20 minutes at the end of that movie.
Yeah.
It is definitely awesome. It was my number 11, so I almost had it in my top 10.
Yeah. My number 2 was Prisoners.
Oh, so I know what your number 1 is. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Prisoners was... So Seth and I went and watched that. And that was... Like, that was the biggest movie I can remember where I didn't even remember that time existed while watching. Like, we sat down in the theater, and, like, when the movie got done, I was like, we were watching a movie. Right. Like, I got so sucked into it in the theater. And then ever since I've watched it multiple times since, and it's, like, still really good. But that captured me in a way that no movie in theaters ever has.
Yeah.
And it's a movie that I would recommend to anybody who doesn't have a kid.
Right. If you have a young child, don't watch this movie.
Yeah. Other than that, if you like movies, watch that movie. That movie is just so good.
It's also a masterclass in cinematography. Many ways. You don't even think it... Well, first...
It got nominated.
There's two different kinds of cinematography. There's the flashy kind like Skyfall, which was Robert J. Deakins. The same guy that did Prisoners. Where you see the cinematography.
Yeah.
Because it's so beautiful and everything about it is just beautiful.
It's not subtle.
No, not subtle at all, but it's great. I mean, Blade Runner 2049. Not subtle.
Yeah.
That is very obviously cinematography. Or you have the other side, which is Prisoners or Shawshank Redemption he did, where you don't even think about the cinematography.
No.
Because it's so good.
But it's not standing in the way at all.
It doesn't stand in the way. It just helps you get so immersed into the story because it's not distracting. Not once. Not once am I going, oh, there's clearly a light in that room shining through that window. That happens. And I go, that took me out of the scene. Prisoners is like flawless cinematography.
Yeah.
It's definitely, if you are getting into cinematography, watch that. And just the way they build the scenes with, Seth showed me this video about all the triangles involved. Everything's always pointing in certain directions in that scene. And there's crosses all throughout the movie and just stuff like that. And it's beautiful, beautiful. All right, so I think my number 2 is your number 1.
Probably.
Inception. Inception is a huge movie.
Yeah.
That changed. It's probably the most influential movie of anyone on this list. It went from Nolan being a good director and a great... I mean, he did Dark Knight, and everybody's like, oh my gosh, to going, oh, this Nolan guy is the only one that could have done that.
Yeah.
100%, he's the only one that could have done that. And Inception was... I mean, it blew my mind. They're literally using the wah from the score all the time now.
Yeah.
It
changed commercials.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Trailers have never been the same.
Yeah, no.
I'll let you talk about it more because it's your number 1.
Yeah,
so.
yeah. So yeah, it's my number 1, and it's. I mean, numerous people. It's the movie that changed them into film fans.
Yep.
Like for a lot of people, that's what happened. It was. I enjoyed movies, and then they watched that, and it was something was different. In that, oh my gosh, movies can be grander than I could ever think.
Yeah.
Like
Absolutely.
I think that was our Star Wars, for lack of a better example. Because, like, Star Wars, inspired numerous people to be like, oh my gosh, you don't have to tell this little like drama set in a house. Like, I thought I took that away from you. No.
Too much noise. That's a gross duck.
That's
Do
a
not
very
want
gross
that
duck.
on the table.
She will try to get that.
If you can't see what's happening, we took the toy from the dog, and it wants it back.
Yes. But yeah, you had, like, when Star Wars came out, it was like, that inspired, I mean, that's, James Cameron started directing after he saw Star Wars. He saw Star Wars, and then he decided to quit being a truck driver. I believe I got the story right. He decided to quit being a truck driver at that time, and then go into movies. And, like, I feel like that inspired a lot of people to be like, oh, wow, look what movies can be. And then we didn't have that again. Like, maybe some other movies, Jurassic Park or a couple others were like,
Sure.
wow, I didn't think they could do that with movies. And then this did that with sci-fi.
Right. In a world where we already thought technology was past the point where we learned anything new.
Exactly.
It took it to that place.
Exactly. Because everybody thought of sci-fi as Star Wars or
Right.
Star Trek or, like, you know, the standard sci-fi thing. And it's like, no, look at this.
Yeah.
And it was like, that is a movie where script, score, acting, all of it comes together in a fantastic way. And I think it is by far and away Christopher Nolan's best movie ever.
Yeah. When I first saw Inception, I didn't really like it that much. I thought it was good. I was like, this is new. But it didn't do that for me.
Okay.
I didn't have that feeling. Upon watching it 5, 6, probably 10 times now, I agree that was our version of that. Yeah. And every 10 to 15, 20 years, a movie comes along that changes how the rest of movies are made.
Yeah.
That one is huge for this. I don't think anything else on my list. No, definitely nothing else on my list. I mentioned Interstellar kind of did that, but it was just the feeling I got in the theater did that.
Yeah.
But it didn't change movies.
Now the question is...
You remove Interstellar, we're still at the same place.
Yeah, exactly.
You remove Inception, we're not at the same place in cinema.
Yeah.
Because that realized people could go, anything I can imagine, I can now make.
Exactly.
Anything.
Exactly.
And so, and the story was just so new.
Yeah. Now let's jump into predictions. Do you think Tenet is going to be...
I think Tenet's going to be my favorite, other than The Dark Knight. I think The Dark Knight will always be my favorite Nolan movie just because of what it did.
Yeah.
But I think Tenet is my kind of movie.
If Tenet can pull off what it looks like it's promising...
I'm stoked, man.
Yeah.
Because I do like a good, not cop movie, but a spy movie. Yeah. And that's kind of what Tenet looks like, although they're probably detectives. Yeah. But same kind of thing, like figuring things out, the James Bond type thing. Yeah. This is kind of Nolan going, this is my kind of Bond movie. Yeah. And I think if he pulls it off, which I have total trust that he will, I think it'll be my favorite, at least of these. Because Inception, even though I believe, I put it number 2, is way up there. I don't love that movie. I just don't. I think it's really good, and I think it's probably one of his best, if not his best. Yeah. Probably his best movie. I just don't love it for some reason. Okay. I've never gotten to that point where I just I like Interstellar more. Okay. But I know it's not as good of a movie. Okay. So.
Yeah, I find Inception is the one I'd rather rewatch than Interstellar. Like,
I'd probably rather rewatch it too, because Interstellar, again, it drags on too much. Yeah. It's too big of a movie. But when I get excited to watch a movie, I don't go, oh yeah, I haven't seen Inception in a while. I don't think that. Okay. I think, oh, I haven't seen Interstellar in a while. I throw that in. But I've also seen Inception enough that I'm probably a little fatigued on it.
Gotcha.
You're going to hate my number 1.
Probably.
The Social Network.
That's why you didn't want to talk about it yet.
I will explain to you why The Social Network is the best movie of the last 10 years.
Oh, please do.
There's 100...
There's a certain amount of VFX.
1,000 plus VFX shots in that movie. It is a socially relevant movie, which I usually try and throw out the window because I don't want a movie to be socially relevant. But it is without dating the movie. Yes, it's social media era. Of course that'll be dated. But any of these, if you really look at that, for the most part,
Yeah, I mean,
it's gonna be dated somewhere by technology.
It's gonna be as dated as a space race. It's like
exactly.
It's not dated to a exclusionary point, but it's dated to a cultural moment.
Yeah, I don't think in 30, 40, 50 years, when we're way past this whole Facebook thing, because Facebook's not going to be around in 30 years, people will still watch this and be very interested.
Okay.
It's not, it took a very specific, relevant thing in time and made it big.
Okay.
You could watch this in the future and it won't matter. It'll still be good. David Fincher does a thing in his movies where you watch it and at first you're like, meh. Unless you're a Fincher fan. I watch his movies and instantly like them.
Okay.
But most people go, meh, and they watch it again and go, eh. And then 4, 5, 6 years later, they watch it again and go, huh. And then by now, you get the Fight Clubs. The Fight Club was hated by critics.
Okay.
And now it's considered one of the all-time greats. His Girl with Dragon Tattoo, nobody's talking about that. But film people are starting to look back and go, that movie's really good. Because he keeps pushing the boundaries in a way that people don't really like upon first viewing, that down the road, it holds up and it gets better every viewing. If you watch Social Network again right now, you will like it more than the last time, I guarantee it.
I mean, I think out of all the movies we've talked about, that's probably the movie I've watched the most recently.
Oh, interesting.
I watched that when I visited you in Colorado.
Oh, yeah, you did. But was that your first time seeing it?
No.
Okay.
I'd seen it before.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know what it is about that movie, but I just think that every time I think about it, I'm like, that movie's virtually flawless. Okay. Everything about it, the acting is insane. The way they work a law case.
Yeah.
I don't know. That movie's got something special that most movies don't anymore.
I think my problem is I look at it like a biopic. Mm-hmm. And I like the feeling that most biopics, especially like Ron Howard biopic, I love that type. Like Apollo 13 is a fantastic movie, and most of his type inspire you in some way, or it's like, wow, look at this person.
Fincher doesn't inspire you.
Exactly. Social Network, you get done, you're kind of like, well, I feel crappy about everything.
That is every single David Fincher movie. 7, you are not feeling good after you watch that movie. Fight Club, you're not feeling good after you watch that movie. Social Network, you're not feeling good after you watch that movie. Girl with Dragon Tattoo, you're not feeling good after you watch that movie. Like, every one of his good movies, because he had a few that he would even say don't put his name on, they don't leave you happy. But Gone Girl, you're not happy when you finish that movie.
Yeah, no, I didn't like Gone Girl either.
Yeah, you're not a Fincher guy.
Yeah.
But I think maybe in 10 years, you might start appreciating some more of Fincher. And the way he does, he rarely uses shaky cam, ever, or handheld. Everything is always dollies, tracks, tripods.
I feel like before everybody started talking about the best of the decade, nobody talked about Social Network. Nobody cared.
Yeah.
Like, even when I decided to watch it at your house, it was like, you're like, oh, yeah,
Yeah, that is true.
And it was like, nobody ever brings it up, and then all of a sudden, the end of the decade comes, and everybody's like, The Social Network.
Right, it wasn't even talked about that year.
Yeah.
But again, that's a very Fincher thing, is that the year his stuff comes out, you're kind of like, I'm not sure about, but he just has a way of doing this magical thing in movies that his movies are almost like a commercial.
Okay.
Where they kind of hit you like, meh, but then upon further viewings, you're like, man, I really want to buy that product. You know, you just kind of like, interesting. So that's why I have Social Network at number 1.
Okay.
Now I think
you don't think Watch Motors is as psychotic as I did this time around?
No, but some of their stuff was ridiculous. But
I mean, I'll defend Endgame.
I do think
you wouldn't.
No, Endgame should not be on anybody's top of the decade.
I mean, most important of the decade, maybe. I mean, think about it.
Not in the history of movie. Well, I don't know.
Exactly.
I'm so over it. I think Ragnarok is much better, but it's not as important.
Exactly.
You can never watch Ragnarok and you're not missing anything. You need to watch Endgame to see how you take a 30 movie.
Yeah, 22.
22 movie.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Team. Yeah. How do you take 22 movies that have been building up to one moment and pull it off? That's your case study right there.
Right.
It wasn't perfect. But by golly, it was a lot better than it could have been.
Yeah, for sure. A lot better than Rise of Skywalker.
Yeah. No, you like, the amount that was riding on it and it managed to pull it off is why I think it's the most important of the Marvel movies.
Yeah.
Like, obviously, Iron Man 1, Captain America 2, and Thor Ragnarok, Thor 3, those are the 3 best cinematic, like, independent movies, those are the best three. By far. I don't think anybody would disagree with that.
Black Panther fans would disagree.
Black Panther fans can go
Called
shove
out a
it.
hole.
But Endgame was, I think, like, if you're a Marvel fan, I think Endgame is, like, that was just the crescendo that was perfect.
Right.
It's not a perfect movie, but I think it's a perfect conclusion to the entirety of the MCU.
Yeah.
Which, this is the first time we've ever had that. At most, we've had TV shows that have had epic finales.
Right.
Now we had a movie that had 2 seasons worth of episodes, which were full-on movies,
Right.
that then concluded in this, and they didn't fumble. Like,
Right.
And so that's why I will defend Endgame, and I think it's better than Infinity War. But you disagree.
But I do think that looking at this, Inception is the movie that changed cinema the most.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. But I think those two, way down the road, it'll be interesting. I think it'll be kind of one of those years that you look back and go,
I mean, 20...
okay, let's look at like 1976. I think Taxi Driver was by far the best movie. It changed how movies are made. Rocky won Best Picture. People still love Rocky.
Yeah.
It's not like Rocky's not being talked about.
Yeah.
So both those movies are examples where they're both such different kind of movies, and they're both still talked about and still influence movies forever. I think that's going to be what's happening here.
Okay.
Because we'll look back and we'll go, man, Social Network was really good. But we'll go, yeah, but Inception also,
Yeah,
you know,
I
we'll
definitely
still
think
be having this discussion.
2010 was one of the best of the years of the decade.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know what happened, but that year was big.
Definitely.
But so would you put Social Network as what should have won, like what you would give Best Picture to the decade?
With that
Yeah.
scope, it's a little different. Well, but I think, yeah, I would.
Okay.
I would say that is the best movie of the last 10 years
Okay.
that I've seen. There's a lot that I haven't. I'm sure in 20 years I'm going to think differently because I'm going to have watched other movies. I don't think that one's going to slip down the list. I think something I haven't watched might jump in. But I don't think I'll later on go, actually, I think Sicario is the best. Like, I'm not going to do that. I think Social Network's going to clearly stand out as my favorite and the best. Well, not my favorite, but the best. But something I haven't seen yet might jump in.
Okay.
But
yeah, I don't like.
I know, that's interesting. I'm glad we didn't agree though.
Yeah,
Because
no.
you too often it's like you create a list, it's the exact same. You're like, oh well, this is boring.
Yeah, see that was my big issue with Watch Mojo was they put Social Network as number 1.
And as did I. So
Yeah.
well, Aaron,
we all know your input isn't important. So.
yeah, that's true. We'll need to do another episode soon, maybe on most anticipated of the year coming up. I did do my most anticipated video for this year, like about a year ago now.
Yeah.
And it's amazing how looking at my list,
It's Tenet. We all know it's Tenet.
there's only like a couple of the movies on my top 10 that I actually thought were any good.
Yeah.
And it was like, it blew me away how many were just like, they're fine.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, you know. So it'd be kind of interesting. I was like guessing what they'll be, but we'll definitely come out with another episode soon.
Theoretically.
Maybe we'll get some real podcast setup going up here. More so we don't have to keep using the little lapel mic.
Don't break the illusion. Come on.
Oh yeah, clearly. All right. Well, thanks guys. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. We are going to not watch a movie. It's too late.
No, it's very much too late.
All right. Peace.